Elly here from Thankful Flow Yoga. Thank you for joining me on this YouTube channel. So today we're doing a rest and restore flow. So it's going to be very gentle. It's going to be a bit of a flow / meditation. So this is suitable for anybody. This could be really nice to either do on its own, or you could do it after one of the stronger practices. It could be a nice wind down for bedtime, whatever works for you. So as always, do use blocks and props to support you in your practice. And we will start the class in a comfortable seated position. So I'm going to have my legs crossed, but if you'd rather have them out in front or in any other position, then that's fine. We're just coming into a neutral spine from wherever you are. And I want you to bring your hands, your fingertips, down to the ground if you can. If your hands don't reach the ground, you could pop them on blocks instead. Just want to feel that connection to the ground beneath us. So starting to close off the eyes or just taking the gaze out in front. And start to take some slow and soft breaths here. Noticing how the breath feels. You might be able to feel your breath in the belly, abdomen, possibly the chest. Being the observer. Taking a moment to notice thoughts passing through the mind. Notice how your hands feel connected to the ground beneath you. And as you inhale through your nose, I want you to start to imagine that you're drawing energy. Or you could just imagine this as the breath, whatever feels comfortable for you, that you are drawing this energy up from the ground through your fingertips into the body, all the way up to the heart center. The chest. And then on your exhale, you're releasing that energy or that breath down, all the way back down to the ground. So inhale, breathing in, draw that energy up from the earth into the body, up to the heart. Exhale, releasing it back down to the ground. And 2 more of these. So inhale, draw that energy up, filling the body up with it, coming up to the heart. Exhale, release that energy back down to the ground. Notice any sensations in the body. Slowing the breath down a little bit there. Relax the neck and the shoulders. And when you're ready, start to slowly open the eyes now if you have them closed. Keeping the right fingertips resting on the mat. Inhale and float this left arm up to the sky. Lift up and out from the waist. And as you exhale, come into a stretch over to the right. And we'll start floating from side to side. And see if you can allow your breath to lead these movements. So on the exhale, moving into the stretch. And on an inhale, see if you can make some space. So lengthening the spine before moving into the stretch on the other side. Seeing if you can make this into a floating or gliding movement. So moving as gracefully as you can. Floating the arms through the air. staying with some slow, soft breaths if you can. And you can pause for longer on one side or the other. You can make these more fluid. So we'll take the last one on each side now. And bring the hands to the knees or the thighs. And again, if your legs are out in front, that's absolutely fine. Just bring the hands to the thighs. And on your next inhale, we're gonna roll the shoulders back and make space across the chest. We're not flaring the ribs out here. We're keeping some light engagement through the core. We're just making some space across the heart center. And then on your exhale, drop the head, round the spine, draw the belly button in, draw the pelvis up and in towards the body. Inhale, lift the gaze, shine the heart forwards. Exhale, round the spine, drop the head, so mobilizing into the spine and the neck. One more inhale, send the gaze and the heart forwards. Exhale, find your rounding, drop the head. Inhale, come back to center. And then now we're going to take these movements into some circular motion. So all the movement here is really coming from the waist. So you can start with your inhale, shining the heart forwards, and then start to move over to one side. And then see if you can move into this rounding position over to the other side, and then through that opening at the front again. So don't worry about how this might look or whether these movements are smaller or larger for you. Just focus on how it feels. Focus on how the body feels, every single thing that's going on within you at this very moment. And start to come back in the opposite direction. Notice as you come back the opposite way how the initial way that you went would have been your natural kind of comfortable direction. I think of the word. And now you're coming back in the opposite direction. This one might feel a little bit different for you. So not judging this, just being aware, noticing, observing, accepting. Finish off your last one. And then we'll come back to center. And then bring the feet together and allow the knees to drop out to the side. So coming into our bound angle, Badaknasana pose. Now, if this feels really strong for you, you always have the option to take some blocks under the thighs here to support you. And you could always bring the feet further away from the body as well as another way to come into this pose if it's feeling a little bit too strong. We're all going to come into that position, the diamond shape, in a moment as the second stretch. So we can meet you there if you're coming straight into it. Now rest the hands around the ankles. Inhale, lift the ribs away from the hips. And then exhale, start to fold forwards, leading with the chest. So keeping the spine lengthened here for this one. You can walk the hands out in front, coming down to the forearms if that feels good to you. You can stay much higher up than this. You could be staying higher up and just such a subtle tilt forward, but keeping the spine long, and that could be a really great place for you to be. So this pose is one of the poses in the Light on Life book that Iyengar wrote. And he was someone who brought yoga to the West, and he has some poses in the back of his book that are good for regulating your emotions, and that can be good for some emotional release. And this is one of those poses. And a lot of emotions can be stored in this hips area. And so this can feel quite strong. It can sometimes feel a bit triggering. So just breathing in, listening to the body, noticing what's there. Inhale, lift the chest, come back to center. And now we'll move the feet so they're further away. So more of a diamond shape now. And this time we're going to round the spine, but we'll inhale first and lengthen. So reach the crown of the head to the ceiling. And as you exhale, fold forward and allow the spine to round, and your forehead's coming towards your feet. That's just a gesture of where you could be heading, just a gesture of the direction. Breathing into the body, allowing that prana to fill the body up with energy. One more breath here. And on your next inhale, slowly make your way back to center. Draw the knees in together. You can take a gentle swish with the knees from side to side. And we'll come into our tabletop position. And then from here, you're going to tuck the toes underneath. And on your next exhale, send your hips to the sky, and we'll find a downward facing dog. Now, if you're really not feeling for a downward facing dog today, then you can come into your child's pose. So you can drop the knees down and let everything melt down to the mat. If you're in your downward facing dog, just reaching those hips to the sky, finding length in the spine, taking as much bend as you need to in the legs. This pose is not about our legs being straight at all. It's really, the priority is the spine. So sometimes I think we worry about keeping our legs straight or having the heels coming down to the mat. But actually, if you bending your legs and drawing the heels away mean that you get that length in the spine of your hips lifting to the sky without the backs of the legs restricting you, which sometimes can happen, then this might mean that for your downward facing dog, this is a great place to be. Just listening to the body, checking in with the breath. And then on your next inhale, we're going to drop the knees back down to the mat. So drop them back down, and we'll meet in a child's pose. So sit your hips down to the heels and rest the forehead and the chest down to the ground. And you can close the eyes here or steady the gaze. And on your exhales, as you breathe out, imagine everything leaving the body that you need to let go of. And that could be physically, emotionally, mentally, the many different layers that we have. So you're letting go anything that you don't need to hold on to anymore, letting it drift away, letting it be released. You can imagine on your exhales, breathing that out. The more that you do this, you're creating that space within you, within the body, to invite in the energy that you want to receive, to invite in the things that you want to bring. You've made space for them, to welcome them in. On your next inhale, open the eyes and lift the hips away from the heels. And then grounding through the right hand, we're going to start to thread the needle. So thread this left arm underneath, and you're bending through the right arm, and the left side of the head's coming down to the mat. Now, if you're quite tight in the neck, the shoulders, the cervical part of the spine, the upper back, then I would recommend there's two other options here. So what you can do is come into more of a wide leg child's pose, sit the hips back, and from a lower position, thread this left arm through. You could bring this forearm down to the ground, and then see if you can come into a twist here, and perhaps be breathing here. And if that still feels too much, then either come into a kneeling or seated position, and come into a twist. So take the option that your body's calling for, that you need. If you're in your thread the needle, then when perhaps reaching that right hand up to the sky, you can thread it around and find the left thigh here. If that feels right for you, these are all just options. You could keep this right hand grounded to support you instead here. You could bring a cushion under the head if you wish to. That can be really nice sometimes for this pose. We start to unravel from the twist, so bringing the right hand back down to the mat, and I want you to really press the right hand into the mat to support you as you slowly come away from that twist. So we're supporting the body, and just remember that, and especially in this practice, but definitely in this flow today, we're looking to release tension from the body. We're not looking to add any tension. That's kind of the opposite direction to what we're looking to do. So if you're making a movement in your body that doesn't feel right, and you feel like that's potentially adding rather than taking away, then definitely try one of the other options. Perhaps come to a child's pose. So from here, we're going to come on to the other side now. So this time grounding through the left hand, and the right hand spreading underneath, bending the left arm, and floating the right side of the head down to the mat. Just remember that you could be coming into a wide leg child's pose and taking this lower down, or taking a seated twist. And then left arm, maybe it's reaching up to the sky, maybe it's spreading around and finding the right thigh. Taking some breaths here. And on your exhales, just keep coming back to that feeling of letting go. What do you want to release and let go of? What is it that's not serving you? It's taking up space. Can you allow it to be released? Reclaim that space. And fill it with something that is going to serve you. One more breath here. And then we'll release the left hand down to the ground. Use it to support you. Press the left hand into the mat and unravel from your twist. And then we'll take a gentle cat and cow here. So moving with your breath. On your inhale, you're sending the gaze forwards, opening across the chest. On your exhale, rounding the spine, tucking the belly button in. So moving through a couple of these. Or taking any cat and cow related movement that feels good. And then releasing from tabletop, plant the feet into the mat. You can either come straight back into lying, or you can lower down in an active way with me. So reaching the fingertips forwards, activate the core, and then slowly shift the weight back, connecting the spine down closer and closer to the mat, and meeting in a lying position. Release the legs, release the arms, and allow the arms to come out to the side, palms of the hands facing the ceiling. Close the eyes, coming into a Shavasana now. And today we're going to do a body scan here. This is something that I do in a lot of my practices that are on the membership. We do it in our live Sunday Zoom class. So we're going to bring the awareness through the body. And as we move into each part, really noticing what's there and giving permission for it to relax and let go. We'll start with the crown of the head. So bring your awareness into this area of the body and start to relax the muscles in the forehead. Behind the eyes, cheeks, jaw. Allowing everything to soften. And then move through into the neck and the throat. And then start reaching into the shoulders, the tops of the shoulders. Start to allow your shoulder blades to just sink into the ground beneath you. Notice what happens when you give permission to your body to do this. And keep traveling down into the arms now. Arms are getting heavy. Being supported and held by the ground that's beneath you. Often we are holding on to so much mentally, physically, emotionally, holding everything together, holding and storing emotions, experiences. So allow this space to be a safe space to let go of anything that you need to. Moving into the hands, the fingers, the fingertips. Noticing any sensations in the hands, any energy that's there. And then start to draw down through the torso. Relaxing the muscles supporting the spine, the tummy muscles. Reaching every single part, so not just the muscles, but the bones, the connective tissue, the cells, nerves, everything that's there. And then moving down to the pelvis and the hips, sinking this area into the ground. Imagine that it's sinking further and further and further. And then traveling down into the thighs, the hamstrings. Legs are getting really, really heavy. And then keep traveling down into the calves, the shins, reaching finally the ankles and the feet. Maybe the feet are dropping out to the side, moving into the soles of the feet, the arches, the ball of the foot, the toes. Noticing every single thing that's alive for you in this very moment. And if you have time to stay in a longer Shavasana, then please, please do. Definitely recommend that. If you're ready to start coming out of this practice, start to bring a bit of gentle movement into the hands and the feet. And then roll over to one side, whatever side is most comfortable for you. Pausing there for a moment. Just let this practice wash over you. Feel the space that you've created. And let that sink in. When you're ready, we'll slowly come back to your comfortable seated position on the mat, no rush. Bring the fingertips back down to the ground here. And take a couple of natural breaths. Open the eyes when you're ready. Taking a steady gaze, going back to the physical body. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I really hope that this has helped you to rest and restore a bit today. Do feedback to me. If you really enjoyed the restful side of this practice, the meditation at the end, there's lots more of these on my membership and in my live classes. So do check that out in the link below. And I can't wait to see you again for another practice very soon. Bye-bye.